from Pinal County, Arizona. Sheriff Paul Babeu joins us. And, Sheriff, thank you so much for your time, sir.
Cam, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Big
listen,
fan of yours.
Well, right there back at you because, you've been talking about Fast and Furious, and you've been talking about the problems that you're facing there in Pinal County and the problems that, law enforcement faces on the border every day. And with the latest developments in Fast and Furious, now you've got Attorney General Eric Holder telling Congress earlier this year, I just learned about Fast and Furious a few weeks ago. Turns out he was getting briefed on this in July of 2010. You've got senior justice officials talking about the PR problems with bringing Lanny Brewer, the Deputy Attorney General, down to Tucson to do a press conference on Fast and Furious and another case because of the, quote, guns walking, and whether or not that was going to be a PR problem because of the number of guns that were walked. I mean, what's your reaction to everything that we've heard just over the last 24 hours?
It's a complete betrayal, and all of this, they're more than simple clues. Clearly, this is a cover-up. It was an outright conspiracy and a betrayal from our own government against not just the citizens of our country to law enforcement. We were never warned about this. Today I talked with 10 of the elected sheriffs of Arizona personally, and we're quite pissed, to put it mildly. And I can tell you that the last 2 years I've served as the president of the Arizona Sheriffs, and there's only 15 of us, and our counties are larger. My county is larger than 3 small U.S. states geographically, 5,400 square miles. And we're the #1 pass-through county for drug and human smuggling. Not only 210,000 illegals were apprehended right here, but the cartels that we're fighting, there's gun battles between the cartels and the bandits, between our law enforcement. Just last week opened fire on one of our officers. We're fighting these heavily armed, most violent criminals in North America here in Arizona in our own government through the Department of Justice and ATF. Eric Holder and Barack Obama has facilitated 2,000 weapons to these criminals that we're fighting. This is outrageous. It's more than a betrayal. We believe that it has risen to the level of criminal.
The response for the administration today, they've been pushing back quite hard. They say that Eric Holder misunderstood the question asked by Representative Darrell Issa, when did you first learn about Operation Fast and Furious? They say that the senior Justice Department officials who were discussing guns walking, they say we're actually referring to a different case out of Tucson. And in fact, Justice Department officials talked to an Associated Press reporter today, and the story went out this afternoon. They say that there was an operation that was undertaken during the Bush administration. They say, quote, similar in tactics used to Fast and Furious. They don't talk about guns going missing. They don't mention how many people died as a result of that operation. But clearly the administration is interested, it seems to me, more in pointing fingers and in trying to come up with excuses than they are in getting to the bottom of this.
You're right, Cam, and to be quite honest with you, I have heard better excuses from a simple shoplifter. As a street cop, criminals lie all the time, and it is so obvious from people like this, and it's a betrayal to have people high in the levels of our government that would do these things, that would put weapons out, 2,000 weapons, not 500 or 1,000, 2,000 semi-automatic, fully automatic AK-47s, 50 caliber rifles. My deputies don't even have this firepower in Arizona, and we've given it to these people that we're fighting. And now the Attorney General of Mexico has been attacking the United States publicly, has demanding accountability, demanding criminal charges against the government. And President Obama, who's gone on this worldwide tour to apologize for America, which I've always disagreed with and have been embarrassed by, the one apology that he should be making is to Mexico. 200-plus people, according to their attorney general, have been murdered, have been killed by these very weapons that Eric Holder and his group of accomplices have facilitated these guns to them. And now we have Agent Brian Terry, a hero in our Border Patrol, who served as a police officer, who served in our United States Marine Corps, was murdered on American soil in my state. And you're about to hear, us sheriffs out here are about to unleash upon Eric Holder and these people, because we've had enough. We have asked for help to fight against the cartels, to fight against illegal immigration, to secure our border. What we got back, we get a lawsuit to sue our state, to fight us from enforcing the law, the very job that we're sworn to do, put up billboard signs in my county warning American citizens that it's not safe to travel because of drug cartels. And now they have armed the very enemy that we're fighting. So this for us is more than personal. Our deputies, our citizens are going to be facing in the future the barrels of guns that our own government had given to these criminals. It's simply, we couldn't make this stuff up in our wildest nightmares.
No, you're right. And, again, the more we learn, the worse it gets. And, between the crime and, as you say, the cover-up, we were talking earlier this evening with Representative Blake Farnold. He said, the cover-up's always worse than the crime. He said it's hard to make that case in this particular instance because so many people have died as a result of Fast and Furious. But, clearly the administration's response to this, indicates that they're more interested in saving their bacon than they are in, again, giving answers to Brian Terry's family, giving answers to the people of Mexico, giving answers to law enforcement on the border, and frankly, the American gun owners and lawful firearm retailers that they've tried to demonize.
Right, exactly. And not only special counsel is demanded here to investigate, because we have had enough lies and stonewalling from the Obama, Napolitano, and Eric Holder administration, but we need these people to be held accountable. We need them to be prosecuted. And law enforcement, that anybody, at least in Arizona, the law states that if anybody who facilitates or supports those committing crimes, such as, say, a bank robbery, and you're driving the getaway car, well, that guy comes out with cash and he has a gun, and you're driving the getaway car, guess what? We charge you as an accessory or an accomplice to that crime with the very same felony that person committed. And this is what we're dealing with here, that our own government, that leaders in our government, the Attorney General of the U.S. Attorney for Arizona, Dennis Burke, had just resigned this month. This guy was plotting to run for governor of our state. He was the chief of staff for Janet Napolitano when she was the governor. And he doesn't just resign and crash his whole political future because he didn't feel well. Well, he did it because he saw what was coming, a freight train of truth, and that it's unavoidable. And it's coming for Eric Holder. This is one footstep away. I absolutely believe, and have called for him to be fired. I've called for him to resign. This man needs to be held accountable, and the sheriffs of Arizona are going to drag this man into the light of day, and he's going to be held accountable for what he has done.
I certainly hope so. That it seems to be one of the things we keep hearing, not from the people who are investigating, not from the people who are trying to cover this up, but just the people who are responding to this, who are hearing about this information. They want to know. We want to know when the heck is somebody actually going to be held accountable for this. I mean, you mentioned Dennis Burke being allowed to resign, pats on the back, no mention of Fast and Furious as he returns to private practice. And yet, on the other hand, you have Attorney General Eric Holder saying that, serious mistakes were made. Well, who made those mistakes, and who's going to actually bear the responsibility?
Well, we're going to keep the focus on this because, in reality, this is the beginning of this. 1,500 of these guns are still outstanding. We have no clue where they're at. And this whole fake argument that they made, that it was just they were trying to mirror copy this part of our investigative techniques when it comes to drug, money laundering, or any kind of crimes. Oftentimes we don't look at the very person who's doing the drug dealing. We may allow that person to commit a crime in the very presence of law enforcement in an effort to watch them where they go, who's involved, in an effort to watch its spider web to arrest numerous people and to take down an entire DTO, a drug trade organization. So here, they're using this where drugs may walk, where money may walk, or an actual criminal may walk, and they're now saying that they allowed all of these weapons, 2,000 weapons, to walk, to be facilitated in the hands of the drug cartels that we're fighting. And this doesn't make sense. Why? All the clues support that never happened. There's what we call in the military or in law enforcement operations orders that are very definitive, very detailed, and it defines who does what, where, who's doing surveillance, who's covering this person, communications, every contingency. None of this happened. Folks, this is the biggest clue here. The only argument that they can give is that they were trying to mirror copy this technique that we've used in law enforcement. Never has it been used to allow weapons to walk. And the fact that this happened leads me to believe there's no other option, that this clearly was a plot by our government. And I've never been one to buy into conspiracies, but it's clear as day to me that this was an effort by Barack Obama, Eric Holder, Janet Napolitano to make an aggressive assault against our Second Amendment rights to bear arms, to have an effort to strangle our rights and to put further restrictions in monitoring our purchase of guns. They've done it. It's already been proven. In the last 2 months, they've further restricted the monitoring in the 4 southwest border states. So they have achieved their end. But now the truth is known, and we're calling them out, and the gig is up.
Well, Sheriff, listen, I can't thank you enough, sir, for coming on the program tonight. It's always good talking to you and, getting the perspective of law enforcement, actually dealing with these cartel members.
You got it, Cam.
If
I could say one last thing, too.
Yeah.
I'm calling for Eric Holder's resignation and his prosecution. I'm asking people to sign a petition at sheriffpaul.com. is our website, and if people would be kind enough to sign that petition, I want hundreds of thousands of signatures on sheriffpaul.com.
All right, Sheriff, thank you again, sir, and I look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Thanks, brother.
Thank
Take care.
you. Pinal County Sheriff Paul Babeu joining us here on Cam and Company.